next session is called Strategies for Secure and High-Impact Health e-Portals. One of the big takeaways from a lot of the research that we conducted was the need for improved in communication between doctors and care providers and the end users. And we're really excited to have Morten with us all the way here from Denmark. As we've heard from several other European speakers, they are obviously very much more advanced in the way that they're using information technology to support healthcare. And I have a personal interest in this. My parents actually lived in Denmark for a couple of years, and one of the first calls I got when they moved there, my dad called and said, "You can't imagine. The first thing I did today, my first day here, I went and got my national e-health card. I went and got my prescription filled. No questions asked." So I'm really excited for us to have Morten here. Morten is the managing director of the National Danish e-health portal and has been since May 2002. He holds a master's degree in economics and social science from the University of Odense. Is that correct?
Odense.
Odense.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Morten to talk about his program.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the interest in the Danish e-health portal. I've been the CEO for the last 10 years of the Danish e-health portal. I was the first man in charge, so I have a lot of good experiences and bad experiences also. I'll represent the Danish e-health portal, and here you see the front page. One of my points is that it is not just a front-end portal. It is a highly complex integration platform that brings together more than 110 data sources in Denmark. And Denmark is a Nordic country, 5.6 million people, so it's a little country, but though it's complex. By the way, we call it Sundhed, and Sundhed means health, or in German, Gesundheit, if you know that word. Here you have the agenda, which among other things will give you insight in the portal that gives every Dane, I don't know how to go down here, every Dane anywhere and anytime access to his or her own EHR on every hospital ward and every hospital in Denmark. And I'll tell you how we handle the dilemmas of privacy, security, and efficiency. We should also have had Heidi Albrecht here, but she couldn't be here, so I think we have to make this a dialogue. We are very few people in here, so please interrupt me, ask questions. There must be something you don't understand. It's coming from abroad. It can be hard to understand everything in American presentations, so there must be things that are very special for you. So please interrupt, ask questions. I'll begin with an introduction to the setting for the National e-health portal, the healthcare system, which Klaus seen down there. It's a homogeneous system when compared to other nations. However, the hospitals are governed and financed by the 5 regions, allowing for local variation. So the national level makes the laws for the 2 acting levels, the regions and the municipalities. And the e-health portal is designed exactly to support this system, helping the consumer choose a healthcare provider. That is what we want to do. And the Danish healthcare service is characterized by both being public financed through taxes, and for most of the services being run directly by the public authorities. Also, the e-health portal is financed by the partners who have their funds from taxpayers. So, the perspective of the portal, with all its pros and cons, is that of the public authorities who have something to tell the citizens about health. It is important to note that in Denmark, maybe the weakest link of the system is in any situation when the responsibility for the patient is transferred from a GP to the hospital, to home care, or to in the municipalities, or back again. That's what is really difficult sometimes. But I don't know if you have an idea of the setting now, or you are very welcome to ask questions if you want to hear something more about the setting. Yeah, you're welcome.
I just want to ask you a quick question with regard to what you said about helping individuals choose a provider.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about how you go about doing that. How do you help an individual make those choices about providership?
We are trying to make the system transparent. We are having what we call the yellow pages. I will give you a list sooner of all the services. Yellow pages, finding all the organizations in the Danish healthcare system. Every organization which is public funded and which is the healthcare system in Denmark is on that list. At the same time, you have waiting lists which hospital have the shortest waiting list. You have indicators for quality on every ward. You have indicators for patient satisfaction on every ward and every hospital. So we make it transparent. And we very much take the consumer perspective. For instance, there are some places you have to pay a little money. For instance, for dentists you have to pay. And then you can see the prices of the same sort of services from the dentist on the portal. So it's transparent, and you can look and you can choose between the healthcare providers. I will give you, yeah?
So you have public opinion, quality, and price transparency available for the consumer?
Yeah. And waiting list. Also waiting list. Yeah. But the Danish eHealth portal is built upon the Danish data network and the work of standardization which began in the years of the 1990s in Denmark. So when the portal was established in 2003, we had a sound infrastructure to which we could add a web portal with which we could deliver, among a lot of other services, all Danes and all healthcare professionals access to EHR records from all hospitals in Denmark. And the main data sources are the hospitals, the regional administrations, the central health authorities and their databases, the GPs and the laboratories in Denmark. I'll just mention a few crucial developments, and firstly I will mention the launch in 2003, and then the national access to EHR for health professionals and citizens in 2010. Afterward, we can go deeper if you want to. The eHealth portals interact with the Danish healthcare network in a way shown here. The health data network, and Klaus showed you some pictures from behind yesterday, is a closed and secure IP-based network between health professionals, and you can compare it with a communication artery. And Sundhed makes use of this closed and secure network in the exchange of information and benefits from common standard, but displays the data to users on the internet without access to the health data network. And the task of making data available to end users would be much bigger if there had not been accepted standard followed by everyone. So it is the work back in the 90s that is very, very important when you shall learn this portal to know. The portal, as such, interacts with the healthcare services by offering improved level of service, but also by giving citizens reassurance and information so that physical and time-consuming contact with health professionals is avoided, by setting free all of the resources of the patient by way of patient empowerment, and by keeping people healthy by inviting them to anonymous tests regarding smoking and weight, as well as presenting all available prevention courses and offers from municipalities and hospitals. And you all know from your own country here that there is a constant pressure for health services to deliver more results at lower cost. Meanwhile, the population is aging and more people with chronic conditions or diseases are coming. So our answer to these challenges is to offer services on the portal which engage and which empower the patients. As we've heard from the US the last 2 days, we can already in Denmark witness how more and more citizens are shifting from a passive position into being more of an enlightened co-pilot. And the interest for and the use of the access to personal health data will keep growing accordingly. And I think that patient empowerment is good news because everything pointed to delivering better results and outcomes, and it also means that the GP will feel empowered because their patients will be well prepared and understand the basic information right away and may be even able to also interpret what should it mean. I will come back to the outcomes later on. The target audience of the portal are the citizens including patients, and the health professionals across the sectors. They have the same data, so they have to share the same data and the same screen. In addition to personal health data, here are some of the types of information available to the patients which can be categorized as general information for the citizen as a user and a consumer. So now we are back to the consumer point. So here we ask, where is stuff? What might cause my or my child's unease? What does a diagnosis entail? What can be done? How can I choose my treatment? What parameters can I use in my informed choice? What do patients think of their contact with this place? Are there online networks where I can meet other patients in a similar situation? And so on and so on. Because we are also offering online networks. Please.
Do you allow access from care providers as opposed to the patient themselves, so either a parent or guardian or a caretaker, and they log in and access patient information for another individual or they'll be able to access it?
I will come back to who can, but technically, every healthcare professional, every doctor in Denmark can log on the portal to every citizen. So wherever you faint out or have an accident, somebody can look up your EHR immediately. But at the same time, you have to have the patient in treatment to be allowed. So you have to have consent from the patient, or you have to have the patient in treatment. So you can only break the emergency glass if it is an emergency. And then the patient will know afterwards. He has his own lock. I'll show you.
For example, could I give access to my wife if I wanted to?
No, that's not legal. But of course, she can look around your shoulder. And we will come on with the next step of the portal. I think we have to let the relatives in, because the next session, until now, we have been presenting a lot of interesting data for everyone. And I think we are world champions in showing data from the system back to the end users. But the next step, and what we are building on, I'll show you later on, is how to make patients and patients' family co-writers on their own health. So of course we have to make new ways, have new rooms for patients where the relatives also can plug in data, comments, and so on. And I think we'll make what we call patient's room, and it should live a life just beside the EHR.
What age do you allow children to own their own data?
From the age of 15, you have to have a personal identifier, and you can have that from the age of 15. Yeah.
15, I can decide whether or not I want to see my birth control history or my whatever.
Yeah. Klaus? Yes. Yes.
He used the health portal for that, but in that case, I know this is complicated, goes up to the law, you just can't take over and make him a child again before you have custody of him. So what do you do with that legal problem? Is that solved?
No, it's not solved, but we have to solve it. And right now we're having contact to the central data authorities because we want to make what we call patient's room. And also we want parents to get they have possibility to look some of their children's data, but if the parents are divorced, we have a problem. So there are problems, but my point is we are moving in that direction, that it could be possible to make consent that, yes, my relatives can also look inside. But it's a slow movement, and though I have shown you a history, we have not been so far in 10 years as I thought when we started. And it is very much due to the fact that the national data security authorities are very conservative, and they should be. Please, they should be. We've just had a very nice presentation about security, telling us all the dilemmas. So it should not be technocrats like me who is deciding what is possible. It should be ethical, political decisions outside my brain, please. Yes. Access to personal health data is, of course, important. That is what really separates Sundhed from other sites, also other national health portals. And that's maybe why, I will mention it due to the location we are on, that's maybe why the Washington DC-based think tank called Information Technology and Innovation Foundation has been looking out for health IT leaders. They have singled out this portal as the most advanced national health portal worldwide. It was, I think, 1 or 2 years ago, and I think it still is. And it is indeed a very long list of services we have here. So I will elaborate only on a few of them to give you some examples what it looks like. You can look up your own medicine profile. What medicine have been subscribed to me the last 2 years? You can look up, as I've told you, your own EHR. You can look up your medical history, and it goes back to 1977. I don't know if everybody of you was born in 1977, but it was before we had electronic health records in Denmark. But it's possible to go back and look the history. You can see which hospital have I been to, what diagnosis did I have, was I sent home or was I sent to the home care, and so on. Also, as a matter of security and privacy, you have your own log on the portal, where you can see which health professionals have been accessed your personal data. And that's very important, I think, in understanding the concept. There are more services also for the health professionals, especially for the GPs. The GPs have been our primary group among the health professionals. And they are private entrepreneurs, but they are very much kept in the loop in the healthcare sector in Denmark by Sundhed. The purpose is to keep people out in the cheap primary sector. So here you see the list of services which we have made for the GPs. It helps the GPs navigate and in a system where GPs and municipalities all contribute. The services and information for health professionals reflect the need to share data and information across the healthcare sectors. And that's one of our really, really important tasks. It is to go from primary to secondary sector and to help people communicate across those sector boundaries. On the top of the patient data, the portal also contains complete cross-sectorial list of health and prevention programs offered by municipalities and hospitals. There are waiting lists from hospitals, as I mentioned. You can access to edit information on the clinic's presentation on the portal, because every clinic, every organization in Denmark is on the yellow pages. I'll come to you. There is information from the region about visitation and so on. There are online medical handbooks. There are ICPC search for diagnosis from GPs, electronic healthcare program, and so on and so on. Please.
A couple of questions. On the prior slide, we had a list of things that were available. I apologize for letting you go past it. Do you offer advanced directives for folks?
Advanced directives?
Yeah, the online living will, is that considered the same thing?
The online will? Yeah, Klaus, what?
Yeah, is that?
No.
It sounds like it might be the same thing. The online living will is not.
Living will is you can have something, if you are in a terminal phase, you can write on one of our services if you want to have prolonged your life, if there's no chance that you will die, that you will survive. Yeah. You can write it, and that's one of our services. Another is donor or organ donation. If you want to give your heart or your eyes or anything after your brain is out, you can also write that down here.
Yeah, basically, if you haven't documented your wishes prior to getting into a state where you may consider your end-of-life choices, your loved one, if you're unconscious, your loved ones can make a decision
Yeah,
for you.
exactly.
I think it's basically along the lines of this.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask was with regard to patient access to the record. They can see it, but can they suggest that things need to be edited, altered?
They cannot. They cannot alter it. Nobody can, especially not mentally ill people, can alter it. But what we are working on right now is, I mentioned it before, something called Patient's Room. We really want people to have a room of their own where they can make their comments, where they can take a picture with their iPhone and tell the doctor a month after, when I did so, it hurted so much. See, things that you don't remember if you don't put them into a file. And it has to be your own file. So you can go in there. Also, you can act on what we call Patients Network. We have, until now, 8 Patients Network where where organizations, patients' organizations help us in cooperation with monitoring healthcare professionals from the public sector to have people connected with if they have the same diseases. And there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of good exchange, and it's one of our rapid raising figures for traffic. It's very...
Feedback mechanism.
Yeah.
I see in my record that you said you've operated on my left shoulder when in fact it was my right. How do I get that change altered?
Then you have to go to one of our services or one of our central authorities who's called patient security, what do we call it? Forsikringsselskaber, patientforsikring. Patient insurance, public insurance, and you have to make a claim. And then there's a system for claiming. In Denmark, that's a very small part of our budget. It is working with claims. I've heard from US, to make a comparison, that 25% of your expenditures goes to lawyers who sue the hospitals. In Denmark, we nearly don't use many money for that. It's because it's paid by the public, so you can do your claim. Have some money or whatever. Yeah. As mentioned, in Denmark, we can already witness how more and more citizens are shifting from a passive position into being more of an enlightened co-pilot. And interest for and the use of access to personal health data will keep growing accordingly. Here you see the amount of unique visitors per month dating back to launch. There has been an increase from, at that time, 80,000 to 400,000 unique visitors per month, sometimes more. And we have a new record this year. And on a yearly basis, we have 30 million pages seen on the portal. And especially the patient dialogue is a runaway success. But also, for healthcare professionals, Sundhed is the most used application. It's not used that often, but it is the application that most healthcare professionals use. They use it more than labs and medicine systems, but not very often. So for them, it's an extra net. If they can't go to their normal EHR, they have this extra security to look up the EHR on Sundhed. Everything like that can be seen everywhere in Denmark. And you can also see it from here. If I make a log on now, I can show you my data. So, not only, I don't know if I answered, did I answer your question? No?
Well, I'm just wondering, the accuracy and reliability of the data that's in there.
It's the same data. What we are showing here, the EHR on the portal is a sum up. It's the notes from the real, deep, complex EHR back on the hospitals. But it is replicated every night. So every night, new data is sent. So there is no double. It is the same data. So you can be sure that they are reliable. What is also very important is not only is traffic rising, but especially the quality is interesting. Here you see a dramatic breakthrough achieved in the last part of 2010 when the new generation of security solutions, Aviable to Danes, merged their net banking Secure ID with the Secure ID used to public sites. It's interesting because in Denmark we are very used to use net banking. 4 million of the 5 million Danes have been using net banking for 10 years. The public sector is not that far. We only 1 or 2 million use the public sector solutions. But after we have merged the way that they log on, you can see that the red one, the light red one, try this. This one has raised from an average under 20% to an average over 40, and now it has stabilized on 45 or nearly 50%. So now the Danes are really looking up their own data, and that's new. That's due to a better and more easy log-on procedure. So, what are the effects of offering an e-health portal and the possibilities for patient empowerment? I think that we now have in Denmark possibilities for a well-prepared patient who already knows what needs to be addressed and allows the meeting with the health professionals to focus on motivation and so on. We have a patient who feels co-responsible for her own health. We have now avoided complications that could have resulted in a comprehensive expenses, and of course increased cooperation between sectors, and especially the last one I think is very important. There is a recently published article regarding e-health support to patients in AC therapy on the portal. We have different groups, but now I'm focusing on AC therapy. It was found that the group offered an online internet-based system increased the time within the therapeutic range from 72 to 79 as compared to conventional monitoring. So now I come to an important point. People simply are more focused when they are going through an internet session than under ordinary circumstances in the lab. Also, for patients with diabetes, we have a paper published recently, and it says that our diabetes solution on the portal improves quality of treatment. The end result is better values for blood sugar, for cholesterol, and blood pressure in 1 year's observation in patient care. And we have 18,000 numbers of observations. And I will show you, before I go to the issue about privacy and security and efficiency, I will show you a short demo. It lasts a few minutes. And right now we are rolling out the model that is supported by we are rolling out the model to the GPs in Denmark, and the model is supported and funded by the general agreement between the GPs and the Danish region. And the Danish regions are also those who sponsors most of the portal. So again, we have the homogeneous, very homogeneous healthcare system where those who are making the portal also defines who uses it and what they get paid for. So now I will show you a service. I'm sorry that I don't know if you were here yesterday when Klaus talked about diabetes and his son. How many of you were here? Some of you were here, yeah. I'm sorry that this model hasn't been rolled out where Klaus is living, because it would have solved his problem. Now I'm trying to do something. I don't know if it fits. This what I'm showing you is a TV report from Newcastle, Denmark. It's not a commercial. It sums up perfectly, I think, some of the benefits of secure e-health. As a diabetes patient, this man on the movie is able to stay well off medicine using the portal and his secure ID. The IT tools and the secure ID at the portal helps him see how he's doing and discuss his development with his GP. It is in Danish, but with English subtitles. So enjoy it before we get to the end of the presentation with the dilemmas of security privacy and efficiency. Just a moment.
Det er nemt, det er overskueligt,
kolesteroltal lå for højt, kunne agere direkte med det samme ned til lægen og sige, hej, hvad gør vi nu?
Per Germansen kigger på sin egen lægejournal.
Det er langt nemmere selv at være sin egen lille læge og komme ud af type 2 diabetes.
Han er en af de 230.000 danskere, der har fået konstateret sygdommen diabetes 2.
Hvis jeg spiser forkert, jamen, så kan jeg jo mærke det med det samme. Så bliver jeg ikke så energisk. Jeg bliver hurtigt sådan lidt knotten at være sammen med.
Indtil videre har han klaret sig uden medicin.
7-9-13.
Og udsigten til måske at skulle tage insulin resten af livet er ikke ligefrem noget, der begejstrer.
Jeg håber på, man kan sige, at mit stadie på type 2 diabetes, at det bliver i den meget lave ende. Forstået på den måde, at jeg kan spise mig, motionere ud af det, sådan, så jeg ikke skal tage medicin i længden.
Og det kan det nye system hjælpe med. Han følger selv med i udviklingen i sin sygdom på hjemmesiden sundhed.dk, så kan han hurtigt se, når der er brug for at ændre på kosten eller motionere mere.
Ligger det i det grønne felt, jamen så er vi der, hvor vi skal være. Ligger det uden for det grønne felt, så er der noget at arbejde med.
Per Germansens læge ser store muligheder i det nye system.
Fra at være en diabetes-sygdom, bliver det en meget mere i højere grad en risikotilstand, som patienten forhåbentlig aldrig bliver syg af.
Netop det, at Per Germansen selv har fingrene helt nede i egen behandling, er nyt, og det er et kernepunkt i systemet. For jo tidligere man sætter ind over for symptomerne, jo større er sandsynligheden også for, at man kan undgå de alvorlige sygdomme, der kan følge med diabetes.
Den tidlige indsats, livsstilsindsats, men også medicinsk indsats, betyder meget mere, end hvis man først bagefter på et sent tidspunkt kommer haltende bagefter med behandling.
Indtil videre bruger kun hver 7. praktiserende læge systemet, men Per Germansen håber, at mange flere vil få mulighed for at tage del i egen behandling.
Hvis man ikke er tilmeldt systemet, så er det bare med at komme i gang. Det er hellere i dag end i morgen.
Yeah, that's right. And I have to repeat, it was not a commercial. It was a cheap report. But right now, I think that about 20% of the GPs have this system, and we are struggling forward, and in few years, every GP will have it. That's the way we do in Denmark. We make pilots, and we give money to the GPs to get in the pilots, and afterwards, then we close the general agreement and say, now you have to do it, or you are out of the agreement. And nobody wants to be out of the agreement, because that's where they get their money to their summer houses and speedboats and so on. So, how do we handle the dilemmas of privacy, security, and efficiency? Having a large degree of cooperation in the public sector and the ability to cooperate on public strategies meant that a national solution for internet identification was built using the existing system of every citizen having a personal identifier used in all contact with public authorities. And looking on the time on the calendar, 2004 we had the first national log-on solution prepared for citizen and health professionals. The latter one, I can elaborate on that later, based on affiliation to health organization and a professional license. In 2010, we had a second generation of security solution for citizens, as I told you, shared with the net banking solution, and you saw the rising in numbers of login. And this year, 2012, we have a second generation of security solutions for health professionals, and I also think we have been waiting for that. So now I'm closing with some of the dilemmas which we can discuss. Firstly, can you have access without consent? There was a question before. And yes, in Denmark, the health professional can access the patient's medical history or EHR in an emergency, of course. Or they can, where consent from the health professionals is implied. There is a window where the doctor has to agree that he has achieved consent from the patient. And there's an audit and a random check out of usage, and unjustified access is punished immediately. And it also shows up in the log profile, the log file for the patient. And we have doctors being punished, trying to make articles. Their son-in-laws were doctors and trying to make a special article about football and EPO. He was caught immediately. We just had that one history. Can you have access for support functions to doctors? Originally, the access to patient data was strictly for doctors' eyes only. However, the GPs are now able to let supporting secretariats check out the patient's medicine profile while helping the doctors prepare for a consultation. So the windows is opening to helping personnel as they are opening to family members and so on. A dilemma is also transparency for patients versus time to convey critical information. On the EHR data, it is able for the GP as soon as it is submitted to the EHR from the hospital. However, the citizen cannot read the information before it is 14 days old. Right now, we have said 14 days old. This is to ensure that no patient learns of a critical test or result or a fatal diagnosis by themselves on, for instance, Friday night without the health professionals having time to arrange a talk. So right now it's 14 days. It could be shorter. It's our decision. Is it necessary with a timeout? In order to reduce the risk of an unauthorized people walking by a computer left by a GP that was logged on, there is right now an automatic timeout of every session. It's also us who decides how long. Right now it's 30 minutes. It could be shorter, it could be longer. Can you have too many logs on the hospital? Yes, you can. And right now we have no idea of single sign-on, I'm sorry to say, on the hospitals. And the hospitals do not use this portal as much as the GPs do, because the log-on is not the same as in the local systems. They move around between workstations and prefer not having a long list of passwords and having to log on and off. But we are trying, we are working on a solution on that. Right now we are making a new generation of this EHR, and we are trying to make what we call a blue button. So when you are in your EHR, your own critical system at the hospital, and they are different between hospitals, you just have to plug the blue button, and then you are on this EHR, on Sundhed.dk and on the EHR version that we are transmitting. Is it possible, and now we are back to some of the dilemmas that also Klaus told about yesterday, is it possible to bring the services to smartphones and to iPads? Right now, a larger portion of the use of the web portal takes place from mobile devices. At present, it's a problem that the national log-on solution cannot be used from smartphones and tablets. But we are trying to have a solution in a year or two, because our strategic seminar, which we've just held 2 weeks ago for Sundhed, told us that in 6 months, in half a year after we crossed New Year next time, half of our users will be on smartphones and iPads, or not at the desktop home in their living room. So we have to do something. We have to push our national agencies for the secure solution. Yeah, but please feel free to discuss those dilemmas. And the last slide. From the drawing board, I will just repeat, because I think it's so important, the online patient diary, which shall make the citizen able to comment on the official data on the EHR and letting the patient control easy access for relatives to the personal information. So please ask questions to that also. Our biggest challenge, and that will be my closing remark, our biggest challenge for Sundhed is to move from a system-oriented center perspective to a more user-oriented presentation of data, and for more patient empowerment, and to continue to have a high level of security. Thank you very much for your time.